It's the best one. You should get one of those ones.
I'm really intrigued on this, so I am
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. So we're going to start. Thank you for your patience. Called Jason Maris toko ingoa, ko au tumu whakarai ki te konuhera o Kaipara. I'm Jason Maris. I'm the Chief Executive of the Kaipara District Council. I welcome you all in the room today. Quite a few people here, so it's pleasing to see, and I welcome you all here, but also to everybody who are watching us online. Very much welcome you from your homes or wherever you are watching us tonight. Before we go any further, I'm going to open us up with karakia. Kia ora te marino, kia whakapapa pounamu te moana, hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, araha atu, araha mai tātou I a tātou katoa. What that means is may peace be widespread. May the sea be like greenstone, a pathway for all of us this day. Let us show respect for each other, for one another, bind us all together. And I think that's a really nice way to start our session today. Obviously, we're here to talk about candidacy for the NRC, Northland Regional Council, and Kaipara District Council elections this coming October. So very good to see everybody here. I'm going to do a quick intro. You're going to hear from them both later on. And for the quick fire buzzer round, I'm going to ask them to do their buzzer, and their name is their buzzer. We have Jono Gibbard to my right in the centre of us, and Jono is the Chief Executive of Northland Regional Council. Jono, your buzzer is?
Jono.
Well done, pass the test. On the end, on the right-hand side, we've got Dale Ofsoske. Dale is the Managing Director of Independent Election Services Limited. I had to write that down. It's quite long. Dale, your buzzer is? Dale, we got there. We've got some intelligence. Now, I'll tell you what, Dale's been doing our elections in the north for some time now, many, many years actually, and what Dale doesn't know about elections is not worth knowing, so I'm sure you'll have some questions for him later on. What we're doing today, guys, is we're live streaming this. We're live streaming this to our Kaipara District Council and Northland Regional Council Facebook pages. We're also recording this, and that will be uploaded to YouTube later. So if you miss anything today, all good, no problems. You can go back and watch it if you want. From a health and safety perspective, and forgive me for those online, you know where your toilets are and you know how to get out of your house. You got here, you're in the room, so I assume you know how to get out. So that's the first step in the right direction. If something happens, there's obviously an emergency exit to our right here as well. We have toilets through past the exit sign and to the right. Now, just a little warning here, if you're a young lady or woman, the toilet lights don't work in the women's at the moment. So either take your phone and use it as a toilet, or go into the blokes and just give it a call out. They've got compartment toilets in there, so you'll be fine, all right? That is the true Kaipara way. If something untoward does happen, we all just huddle away in the car park by the flagpole team, but I can't imagine anything is going to be happening. For those in the room, obviously, if you could put your phones on silent. If you don't, there's a fine. I would think just a Mars bar would be fine. I'm a bit of a chocolate nut, so that'd be quite nice. And of course, we are here to impart information and answer your questions, right? So it's not a candidate evening where you get up and debate the issues. This is not what this is. This is about you wanting to stand to be a candidate in the elections, and about us helping you understand what that entails and give you answers to your questions as well. How we're going to roll tonight is the mighty Dale Ofsoske is going to do a quick overview presentation of a few slides just to set the scene for the election to start with. We've got a few questions that we'll run through as well. Some of them have sort of been pre-asked. I do appreciate that some people may not want to stand up and ask the questions, so we've got some pre-questions for you that have been pre-asked. And for those online, if you could put your questions in the chat. We have a team of NRC and KDC staff here. Thanks, guys, as well for being here and helping out to get those questions to you so we can ask the panel, which is us. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to the guru of all, that is the election, and that is Dale, who's going to take you through the presentation.
Kia ora tātou. Thank you for that introduction, Jason. Much appreciated. I'm the Electoral Officer for Kaipara District and Northland Regional Council, as well as a number of other territorial authorities, including Whangarei, and for my sins, Auckland, and Far North District Council. I have been given strict instructions, thank you Jason, to keep it brief, so here goes. So on to our key election dates. Nominations open not too far away now on the 4th of July. There is a period, a 4-week period, until the 1st of August when they close at 12 noon. Then we have the next milestone of voting opens on the 9th of September, and that will close on the 11th of October at 12 noon. So there isn't a longer voting period this time around. There was a legislative change last year that gave longer voting period, and it's really to get around the New Zealand Post issues about delivery. So there is a just over 4-week voting period rather than 3. So voting closes at 11th of October, and then soon after that we'll have progress results, and then on the next day, on the Sunday the 12th, we'll have preliminary results, and then finally we'll have the final results once all the special votes have been included on Friday the 17th of October. So just by way of background, population of 26,830 people in Kaipara as of 30th of June last year, and the number of electors is about 13,500. Kaipara district candidates are listed in random order on the voting document by surname, and NRC, their candidates will be listed in alphabetical order by surname. This council resolved to disestablish its Māori ward in 2024. A Māori ward poll is not required with the council elections. There are about 42 councils, I think, across the country that are requiring to have a poll with their election, but this council is required to. However, a Māori constituency poll is still required for the NRC. So there will, on everyone's voting document, still be a Māori constituency poll. So what elections are we having? We're having obviously the mayor for Kaipara district and 8 councillors. We did a representation review last year, so we streamlined that down. So 8 councillors, 3 from the Kaiwaka Mangawhai ward, 2 from the Aotearoa ward and 3 from the Wairoa ward. And for the Northland Regional Council, it'll either be the Kaipara General Constituency or the Coastal South General Constituency or the Taraki Māori constituency. So depending on which electoral roll you're on, you'll either vote for the general constituency or the Māori constituency. So there's just a map of the wards for Kaipara district, and then on the next one is the constituencies for the NRC. So candidate eligibility. To be a candidate, you must be a New Zealand citizen, aged 18 or over, enrolled on the parliamentary roll anywhere in New Zealand. So you do not need to be on the roll here. You can be anywhere in New Zealand and stand here, no issues there, but, always a but, you must be nominated by two electors from the area that you're standing in. So if you're standing in the Aotearoa ward, your nomination must be signed by 2 people enrolled on the roll for the Aotearoa ward. So you can live anywhere, but you must be nominated by 2 electors from the area that you're standing in. You can stand for multiple positions, so you can stand for mayor and council. And if you're elected to both, you're fortunate elected to both, you take the higher position. You cannot stand for more than 1 ward, so you've got to choose which ward do I want to stand for. And also you cannot stand for the Kaipara District Council and the Northland Regional Council. So you must choose again, which council do I want to represent, and then choose your appropriate ward or constituency. Elected members or their spouses cannot have contracts with council over 25,000 in 1 financial year. So that's a little trap for some candidates. So just be mindful of that. If you do have contracts with the council, that you've got to be mindful of that. If you're a council employee and you are elected, you must resign. Obviously, there is a conflict of interest there. And you can't nominate yourself. So you must be nominated by 2 electors. So nominations open Friday the 4th of July. 2 ways to submit your nominations. Now this is the first time we've been able to do this. We had a legislative change last year. You can lodge your nominations online, electronically. It's really, really simple. There's the address up there to go online. KA is for Kaipara District, and if you replace that for NRC, that will be the NRC way of lodging an online nomination. Second way is you complete a hard copy form and drop it off in person to one of the two officers for Kaipara District. Each nomination requires a $200 nomination deposit, and that's for each position you're standing for. So if you're standing for Mayor and Council, that's $400 that you must pay. It is a deposit. Most people actually get that deposit back if they poll greater than 25% of the lowest successful candidate. You are also permitted to have a 150-word candidate profile statement. The legislation says that you can have 150 words in English, plus you can have 150 words in te reo if you want to, but they must be largely, the meaning must be largely consistent. You can have other languages if you want to, but if you have other languages, they must total 150 words. You can also include a recent passport size coloured photograph, and I strongly recommend that every candidate provides that. It is optional. Provide a photograph. Electors want to see what you look like, plus give some good thought into what your 150 word is going to contain. You must provide evidence of your New Zealand citizenship. That's really important. And candidates can actually have an affiliation. An affiliation you can represent a group, organisation, you can represent a ratepayers association or ratepayer or anything like that, or a political party. A lot of candidates just prefer to keep it independent. I'm independent. That tells a story that I'm not aligned to any political party. And there are some unacceptable affiliations, obviously. Our slogan, we don't accept. Something that's indecent or slanderous, we don't accept either. So we're required to include in your nomination a statement on your principal place of residence. So this shows on your candidate profile statement. The electors want to know, are you inside? Do you live inside or outside of the district? And as I said earlier, you can live right across in the whole country, across the country, but you have to state that in your nomination. And you must list any other positions you're standing for. So if you're standing for Mayor and Council, that goes on to the candidate profile statement so that electors know that you're standing for both, or the two. Nominations, they close at 12 noon on the 1st of August. That's a Friday. They close sharp at 12 noon. Don't leave it to the last minute, please. So one thing you take away from tonight, you're going to stand, get your nomination in early. If there is a problem with your nomination and it's 5 to 12, you've got 5 minutes to get it fixed. And a lot of people go away and they come back at 12:05 and it's too late, we've closed. So if anything, make sure you get your nomination in early. So on to campaigning. I get a lot of questions about this already. When do I start campaigning? Well, actually, you can start campaigning anytime. There's no restriction on when you can start your campaign. There is a restriction, however, on your election signs. If you're going to put election signs up, they can go up 3 months before election day, so that's from the 11th of July. So nominations open on the 4th, you can put your signs up from the 11th, but they must be removed by midnight on the 10th of October. Good idea to read the policy. It's online. Another important point that I always get a lot of questions about is your electoral advertisements. The need to show an authorisation statement, who's authorising this advertisement, and you need to show your contact details. All right for time?
You're sweet as.
Nearly there.
You're all good.
So you must show that authorisation statement with your contact details. So it has changed from previously you had to put a physical address in. Now you can put a website address or a mobile number. Be very careful if it's a mobile number. It goes far and wide. So if you want your mobile number far and wide, put that on. But some candidates buy a mobile phone just for this purpose. So just be careful with that. So that authorisation statement must be put on all advertisements, that's signs, notices, pamphlets, web pages, vehicles, anything like that. Put your authorisation statement on. It's really, really important. It does exclude posts, tweets, messages, but you must put it on your main page. So every post and tweet, you don't need to put your authorisation statement, but it's got to be somewhere on your main page for us to see. Social media, I stress this, a great way to campaign. It really is. It's instant, it's far-reaching, and more importantly, it's free. So you can promote yourself and your policies, you can run polls, you can encourage people to vote with dates, that sort of thing. So it's a good way to promote yourself. Fake news, we hear a lot about fake news. It's not acceptable. So if we become aware of it, we will be actioning that. But Just bear that in mind. Council's media channels off limits. So council must be neutral in any election or poll. That's really paramount. So council's media channels are off limits, and it is monitored. So if anything strays into that area, council will be taking it down or changing it, or alerting you to that they are doing that. Cyber security, keep safe. It's a big bad world out there, so keep safe on that. Computers can be hacked. And be mindful of your electoral offences. Now, we follow the local Electoral Act. We've got a candidate handbook. All the offences are in there. Make sure you are across all the electoral offences, because if you're not, fellow candidates are. And if you do something wrong, I soon hear about it, and I have to do something about it with you guys. So be aware of that. It's all there for your information. How much can I spend? So there is a limit on what you can spend. It depends on what position you stand for. And up on the screen there, you can see if you're standing for mayor, you can spend $20,000 or up to $20,000. For Kaipara and Otamati Ward, $7,000. And for Wairau Ward, $14,000. So it all goes on the number of the population of the area that you're standing for. Last slide. On that campaign expenditure, these do include GST. So I have had an instance where someone spent right to the maximum and then they added the GST on, and that became an offence and the police got involved, all that sort of stuff. So bear in mind, it does include GST. You can't add your limits together if you're standing for two positions. So if you're standing for mayor and the Wairau Ward, you can't add them together and say, I've got $34,000 to spend. You take the highest. So you've got $20,000 maximum to spend. There is a form on the nomination paper, electoral expenses and donations return. That is compulsory. You must return that by the 11th of December. Even if you don't spend anything, it must show nil. So it must be returned, and if you do not return it, it becomes an offence, and I've got to talk to the police and all that sort of stuff. So I do strongly encourage everyone to return that. And those forms are really important because they are available for public inspection. They go on the council's websites for 7 years. So anyone can look at those for 7 years before they're destroyed. So make sure they're accurate. It is a declaration. Sure, that's me.
Awesome, Dale. Thank you so much. So what we're going to move into is a bit of a panel kōrero right now. John is going to move over. Thanks, Jono. Good centre of attention there. And we're going to have just some frequently asked questions with some answers for you. And I'm going to kick us off because, you know, a lot of people do always ask what's the difference between a district council and a regional council, right? Believe it or not many people know that. So I'll kick off for the district council, roles and responsibilities, and the large part of our budget is spent on roading. As you know, we've got 1,500 k's of road in the Kaipara district, 1,000 of which are unsealed, so we spend a significant amount of money on roading. Footpaths, cycleways as well. We do have a monitoring and enforcement regime around bylaw compliance, district plan compliance, all of that sort of stuff as well. We do libraries, recreational facilities with our parks, our sports fields, playgrounds, that sort of thing. Rubbish and recycling, generally at our stations, obviously with the recycling piece. And then we've got something called community and district development, and that's kind of a catch-all, but, you know, we've got a community team who go out and spend a lot of time with community groups, supporting them. We have our mighty governance team that look after the council meetings and the decision-making framework. We have planning, so we do building consents, resource consents, district plan work, which is your rule book for your council. So they're kind of the functions. It's very weird. If you are lucky enough to be elected, you'll understand when you get in there that it's an umbrella with a whole bunch of different businesses underneath it, and those businesses, you know, are quite distinct and quite different from each other, as a matter of fact, mostly. So that's a district council. I'm going to hand over to Jono here, who's going to talk about the mighty regional council.
Oh, kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Waiho, ko Taranaki Tamonga, ko Whanganui Te Awa, no Whanganui ahau. Engari, e noho anō ahau ki Turikaka, ko Jonathan Gibbard taku ingoa, ko ahau te tāhuhu rangapu o te kaunihera ārohi o te Tautikara. Good evening, everybody. Fantastic to be here. Thought I would introduce myself a little bit more than Jace's very brief intro, but thank you very much. It's great to see so many people here. It's my second one of these evenings. A couple of weeks ago was at Whangarei District Council, and next week up in Kaipara as well. Hopefully some of you are here this evening to stand for the Regional Council, the Better Council. On that, it is really important that you stand for the right council. Believe it or not, I've been at the Northland Regional Council since 2002, on and off. And there have been instances where councillors have stood for a council, and partway through the term they realise actually what they were really passionate about is actually what the other council does. So I do really encourage you to read the pre-election reports, get onto our website, have a look at what our roles and functions are, and make sure that the thing that you're wanting to stand for, the thing that you're passionate about, you go for the right council. So Northland Regional Council, similar to district councils, we've got a role under the Resource Management Act. Our role is more aligned with the management of your natural and physical resources. So your freshwater quality, your air quality, your coastal marine area, sedimentation, those sorts of things. We also, though, have a broad other range of functions. So natural hazards, flood protection, biosecurity and biodiversity. We've got a large function around managing pest species within the region. We're also responsible for the catchment management aspect. So whether that's from a natural hazard perspective or whether it's from a sedimentation perspective or restoration of our catchments and our waterways. We've also got responsibility in our harbours and estuaries in our coastal marine area. So we have the harbour master function. We're responsible for navigation and safety bylaws. We're responsible for oil spill response. We're also responsible for public transport. So we share transport related activities. District councils are responsible for the local roads. We're responsible for the public transport part of it. So yeah, wide range of roles and functions. Both councils members have joint ownership of Northland Inc, our regional economic development agency. So we've both got roles around advocating for regional economic development and infrastructure resilience. So there is a broad range of roles and functions, and ones that do overlap between regional and district council. But yeah, I would just encourage you to make sure you do have a look and stand for the right council.
Thanks, Jono. Cheers. So I don't know, in recent weeks I've been running Chat with the CE sessions, and I've offered, time slots for people to come and see me and answer questions as well. And that's been quite good. I've had quite a few people turn up and talk to me. One of the questions that they've asked me, nearly every person's asked me, is what is the one piece of advice you would give me if I was elected, right? And you go, oh, that's a head scratcher. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to is I can't do it in one, but I can do it in three, right? So you've been elected, you're around the table, you've got a whole bunch of different people from different walks of life sitting there, and you're making, and it's amazing, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely amazing to be elected. It's such a joy, not that I have been, but I've seen it in the face, right? Such a joy to be elected. You're representing your community, but you're there with 10 other people, and they come from different walks of life and they've got different viewpoints. So first one, respect the differences around the table is what I would say. Second one, build relationships to get the outcomes you want. You are one vote. You will be one vote around that table. You need to build a relationship with the other people if you want to get the outcomes that you're after. And you need relationships to do that. And that is the last piece of advice. Build those relationships and be strong about it. Jono, you're next, actually, and we're talking about the skills and qualities needed to be an elected member. What do you reckon?
You've covered off some of them just there, I think, Jason, actually. But look, one is just to have, it can be a tough gig to be a councillor. You need to make some really challenging decisions. So you need to go into it with a real passion and desire for your community, because that passion is going to keep you going through your 3-year term. So having a passion for your community, it's a leadership role. It can be a challenging one. You've got to make some tough decisions. So being able to be resilient within that environment is a key attribute that you need to be able to have. It's really busy. So being able to have the time to be able to stand. So you'll all have lives, obviously, outside of council. So really having to think about how am I going to be able to balance being a councillor plus all of the other commitments that I have outside of work. Jack, I don't know if there's a question later on, but I didn't actually see it in this one. But like for regional council, it's about 2 to 3 days a week commitment to be a councillor. And if you're the chair, it's pretty much a full-time job. We try and at the start of the term identify which days are going to be our normal business days. So for regional council this term, the councillors decided Tuesdays and Wednesdays were going to be our key days that we were going to meet. We do have to meet on other days as well, but we try and go two days, and so then you can plan around it. But it's a busy schedule, so you need to make sure that you're able to balance up your commitments. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of reading. So you really do need to be able to have the time and have the ability to read through what can be some quite technical reports at times. We do try and provide as much simple, clear information as we can, but there's a lot of work that you need to be able to work your way through to then be able to go, right, I'm in a position to be able to make the best decision that you guys can as councillors. You're in the public eye, so communication is a key attribute. You'll be needing to engage with your community, go to public events, speak on behalf of council at different events and potentially to the media. So being able to stand up in front of people and be confident in being able to articulate council view or your own views is important. We are very much in an age of using technology. So we provide all of the technology that you'll need, laptop, cell phone, but all of our stuff is provided electronically. We do use, we provide hard copies because legislation requires us to for council meetings, but everything is there electronically, and we do work through a lot more because of it. What else did I have there as some notes? I think that's it for me, but my last one would just be is that it can be a bit of a thankless job at times. Being a councillor would be one of my observations. So you need to come into it with a level of resilience and good support outside of with your whānau, with family support, because it can be a tough gig being a councillor. You're going to have to make some tough decisions and then stand behind those decisions. And if it's a hard decision, usually there's 360 degrees of opinion on whatever that decision is. So, yeah.
Thanks, John. I'll go into the KDC time commitment as well in a sec, but from a NRC perspective, your meetings, where are they held? Where can people expect? Because NRC is a broad region, right?
Yep. So our meetings are primarily held in Whangarei, but our meetings, we run pretty much a hybrid meeting environment. So people can come online. So because we're regional, it can be long travel distances. So we do run very much a hybrid meeting arrangement. So yeah, online or in person. Some of the meetings though that are the bigger the corridor, the more challenging the discussion. We do try and have everyone in the room because it's kind of easier if everyone's there face to face to be able to have some of those challenging discussions. But we very much run a hybrid meeting environment, and actually sometimes we run it just fully online for convenience if that works for council. But that's something that at the start of the term, we have a discussion with the council around how do you want to run your meetings, and those are the sort of things that they come up with.
Cool, thanks, man. So from a KDC perspective, so we run a centralised decision-making model. So basically what that means is the majority of decisions are made by the council. So that's the full council, everybody. There are a couple of committees and subcommittees that we operate to. So I won't talk about them so much, but they've got delegated duties that they need to look after. Our meetings currently, that's happened the last 2 terms, is been run on, we try and get consistency for the whole term, right? So that gives elected members an idea about when the meetings are, can plan their lives. And it's really important to do for a 3-year period. So we run the first, at the moment, in the last term, we run the first Wednesday of the month as a council briefing day, has a full agenda, has full reports, no decision making, but it's more informal in that You get the information and we walk you through it. We talk to you. You give us feedback and direction, ask all the questions you want, right? And it's a lead into decision making. Now, we schedule that on a full day. So it can go anywhere from kick off at 9:30. Some have gone to 4. Generally, they do finish about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon type thing. And that's non-decision making, all right? So then that's when we get direction and we go to the next step. When we are ready for the council to make a decision, we have a formal council meeting at the end of every month, and it's the last Wednesday currently of every month. And that is, again, another day set aside for that. It starts at 10 currently and can go till about 4 to get through all the decisions that council needs to make. I do want to reiterate what Jono said. It's not easy, right? And you're in the public eye. Whilst it is amazing to represent your community, and I take my hat off to all of you who are contemplating put your hand forward for that, there will be a lot of pressure on you, but that's okay. You know that already. The next question is sort of, will I get any training? And you've already been given a picture for what responsibilities both the councils have. You're elected. You're democratically elected in that role. You're not an expert on anything in that space. You bring a lot of skills to this table, your life experience, your qualifications, all of that sort of stuff, absolutely you bring. But you can't be expected to know on day one the ins and outs of council and the statutory environment we roll to. So you will rely on us, and from a staffing perspective, to help you through that. Both councils have quite a strong induction program once you're elected. It is quite involved, so there will be a time commitment after the elections. We will get that scheduled for you closer to the time of the election as well. So that gives you certainty, if you are elected, on what dates you're going to be needed to attend. I appreciate that may be difficult if you work full time, but I assume that if you put your hand up, you put your name forward and you voted in, you're going to have that sorted from your work-life balance kind of thing.
Just on that, Jace, just worth, like I mentioned at the start, or when I was talking before, that we sort of try and do 2 days a week. From that October election through to Christmas, though, it's a more intense period, and it's the getting everything up to speed, everyone up to speed, getting all your governance structure in place, having a discussion with council around what's the strategic direction for the incoming council. So there's a higher workload, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Between that October and Christmas, I'd say it's higher than 2 days a week. It can be up to more like 4 days a week to get some more experience in this particular part of the business. But like Jay said, we provide as much support as we possibly can to make sure that you can understand what can be quite a complicated process at times within local government.
Cheers, Jono. Dale, you've got FOMO, I think. So question for you. Yes. Okay. I want to stand for the Kaipara constituency, Northland Regional Council. When can I start my election campaign?
Well, you can start at any time, as I said earlier, but be careful. Don't peak too soon. But you should be slowly building up your name, your out in the community, and of course, once voting starts, when people actually get their voting papers, that's when you can ratchet it up and actually get your name out there, so that people see your name on the voting paper and therefore vote for you.
Fantastic. Nobody likes peaking too soon, Dale. Absolutely. So, Jono, do you need to know Te Reo Māori to be an elected member? Are you given training in Te Reo and tikanga protocol, particularly marae protocol? What's the gig?
Yeah, sure, Jace. You don't have to be able to speak Te Reo Māori or have a strong knowledge of Te Reo Māori. We do have Te Tiriti partnership obligations as local government, but we're there to support you in that function. So we'll provide as much staff support as required around marae protocols, our Te Tiriti obligations under the various different bits of legislation, and there's plenty of training available, whether it's around protocols coming onto marae or whatever our legislative obligations might well be with respect to the decision that you're there to make.
Ngā mihi nui, Jono. So this question is roughly about the differences between the regional council and the district council as far as elected members go, right? So the question is, what is the role of the mayor and how is that different from an elected councillor, right? And that is quite a different picture, which Jono will describe soon, about the NRC and how regional council works, which is a little bit weird. So the mayor has actual specific responsibilities and legislation as well, okay? So promoting a vision for and speaking on behalf of the Kaipara district. So there's quite a high level goal there. Providing leadership to the council and the community. So the mayor is only one vote around the table. However, there is a different role here. The mayor is elected at large, where the councillors are elected from the ward. So the mayor is the leader of the council. So it's really important to reflect that distinction, I suppose. The mayor also has a role as a ceremonial head of the district. So if you are running for mayor and you're elected, you know, things like citizenship ceremonies, there's a formal role that the mayor plays in those ceremonies, which are amazing. If you haven't gone to one, they're just wonderful things when people actually become citizens of the country. Ensuring effective engagement between council and communities, that is a role of the mayor as well as the council, to be fair. The mayor has specific legislative responsibilities. So the mayor can appoint the deputy mayor as well. The council has a role in that if they don't like that decision, but the mayor appoints the deputy mayor. The mayor establishes the committees of the council and the governance model for the council and the membership as well. So there are specific legislative requirements that the mayor may choose to take up in that space as well. So it is quite a different role, and there is a little bit of, I would say power, but you know, setting up the governance framework for how the next 3 years is going to roll. All right. And you would have seen, for some reason, we've had quite a few weather events in the last term. Actually, you know, weather impacts, when we talk about a cyclone, we've talked about a tornado, various rain events as well. It has been quite prominent, right? So civil defence is a really important role. NRC take a strong lead in that space for us, and we have support staff that are part of that. If we've had to enact our civil defence crews and teams quite regularly, mostly on long weekends, weirdly enough. So let's hope it's not this weekend as well. So, but the mayor has a specific role in civil defence as well, and that is declaring an emergency. Now, if the emergency is declared, he or she acts on advice from the civil defence team, but that is a statutory role that opens up other support from the rest of government and, of course, funding as well. But from a councillor perspective, you know, you're one vote as well, so you've got equality of voting compared to the mayor. Your job is around the decision making, representing your community to understand what they are saying to you. Now, there is a point here that people do forget quite regularly. When you're elected from a ward, you're elected from the ward. When you're on the council, you make decisions on behalf of the district or the region. Okay, so some councillors, no disrespect to the councillors, it's easy to forget, get quite parochial about their ward because that's where they were voted from, right? And it can be really difficult, actually, when some tough decisions have to be made, to Jono's point before, that actually you swear an oath to make the best decisions on behalf of the district, not the ward. It's an important point. Jono, what about it from the Northland Regional Council and the chair? How does that work?
You could have just
Crazy.
similar leadership role to a mayor at the regional council around leading the council and those sorts of things. But a chair isn't voted in at large like a mayor stands to be a mayor. You don't stand to be the chair of a regional council. Everyone who is successful, so we've got 9 councillors at the regional council. One of the first jobs of the councillors is for them to decide and vote for who they want to be chair. So it's a decision by the councillors as to who chairs the regional council. It's also by vote, so it's not an appointment like the mayor appoints their deputy. Again, the councillors vote as to who the deputy chair is. Also, our chair doesn't set up the governance structure like the mayor does for district council. Again, that's a majority decision by councillors. I've always assumed, Jason, or Dale, you might be able to help me, but I've always assumed that regional council chair isn't voted on by members of the community. Because we're a region, we're a larger region, and if it was like that, the largest community, the largest settlement within the broader region, because they've got the largest population by numbers, the chair would always come from, like in our case, most likely come from whangarei. Yeah. So it's done so that you don't vote for a chair at a regional council, so that the chair can come from anywhere across the region, irrespective of the population, larger population base. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Yeah,
Right.
perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going by assumption. Other than those sort of fundamental things, the chair doesn't have some of the other legislative roles that a mayor has, but the leadership of the council and speaking for the council and leading their governance and the relationship between governance and staff, they're all very similar to being a mayor.
You've opened the door there. I'm going to whip in a bit of a point. So the relationship between the council and staff, I think it's an important point to talk about here. So a council, and the NRC is exactly the same, employs one person. That's it. Okay. So you employ the chief executive of that council. So your employment relationship is with that chief executive only. Okay. Now the chief executive then employs the rest of the staff and is responsible for all the legalities around the staff, responsible for management of the staff, and responsible for delivering the work program for the council, right? So the council has no staffing responsibilities and has less to little interaction with the staff on the ground doing the work. There are ways that we set for elected members to get information that they need and to get their questions answered, but we do make sure we focus on the staff going out and doing the work that you pay them to do, right? We have a structure around getting that information for you. Governance versus management, and that's the principle at play here. And it's a really important principle to understand because it can trip people up in time and places. Also, I suppose the relationship's really important between the CE and the mayor, or the CE and the chair, being the two leaders for the councils. I, for example, catch up with my mayor and deputy mayor once a week, and I spend some 2 hours with them on one-on-one with them type of thing. And the rest of the council, I just catch up generally on briefing days. I do catch up individually with them as well if they wish to. All right. I'm sure Jono does a very similar thing.
We do.
Yeah, so that's just how it works for me. How do you understand the staffing perspective and what they do in their business versus governance and decision making? The governance of the council, elected members, make decisions. The staff implement the decisions that you make, and they are doing that under direction from the chief executives. So it's quite a salient point, right?
I kind of, Jace, describe it to some of my councillors sometimes of one of the roles of governance is making the decision, but then also monitoring the implementation of the decision and holding staff to account, so accountability. If governance is in the space of the doing, implementing the decision, who's then going to be doing the governance? You know, you can't be doing the monitoring of the decision if you're implementing the decision as well. So that's for me anyway, a simple way for me to be able to explain it and understand it. If you want to be in the governance space, you can't be in the doing space because then you can't perform the governance function like it's set up to be.
Fantastic, John. Now, Dale's done a really smart thing at the start of this session by doing a presentation.
I was told I wasn't allowed to.
Questions are basically answered, so I'm not going to hang you on this one. The shoot. We're going to talk about remuneration though as well, because that's important. I know people don't stand for the money. I get that, but you do get paid for your role, and we need to explain that to you and how it works. Okay, so remuneration for elected members is set by Wellington, actually. So it's set by a place called the Remuneration Authority, and they set elected members' remuneration. There's a whole formula around how they dictate and determine how much you get paid in your role, all that sort of stuff. And it is quite complicated, so I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm going to tell you the amounts though. So for a KDC mayor at the moment, it's set at $138,441 for mayor. The minimum allowable remuneration for a councillor is $39,549 to be exact, right? How it works for a councillor is different from a mayor. So the mayor's rem is set at that amount. The council, however, gets a pool of money that is used to pay the councillors, all right? So and this is where it gets tough, right? Believe it or not, they find this decision hard. One of the first things you're going to do if you're elected as a councillor and in the council is to go, okay, we've got this pool of money, how are we going to distribute that amongst ourselves? And you have to distribute it amongst yourselves. We have to pay it to you. You can't not take it, okay? So that's a very public decision, and it's one of the first decisions you make. And believe it or not, it can get quite hard. often the easiest way to do it is to simply split it by the numbers. Give the deputy mayor additional funds, because our deputy mayor currently is on about 72k, and then the balance is split amongst the rest evenly. That all depends, right? Because if there are other additional responsibilities like chairmanships or chairpersonships, other spokespeople roles, if that is what the council decides to do, you could get paid more for that. Our current council has split it. Mayor, deputy mayor, a certain amount, split the rest, and it's something like 45k type thing. That will likely increase because we have one less councillor this election compared to the previous election. The pool doesn't change. Jono, what's happening to the NSC? How's the role with you guys?
No, very similar, very similar. Exactly the same, really. We've got a pool, and then the councillors have to decide how it's distributed. We have, for a chair, is $138,846, and our base starting remuneration for a councillor is $72,743. And you may ask, why is it more? There's a combination of factors. One of the main determining ones here, I'm guessing, is the number of councillors. So just based on the number of councillors, you don't get more for your council. So we've only got 9 councillors. How many have you got?
We'll have 8. Thank you.
8. Another 8. Oh, so it's even less.
One.
But like Jay said, there's a methodology that the remuneration sets as to how much of a pool of cash that you've got. You've then got to distribute it. Similar to what KDC does, we've tried to make sure that all of our councillors have a similar level of responsibility, so chairing similar level of committees, on similar number of committees. So then we go to the remuneration authority and go, because of that, we want to allocate the funds on an equal basis across the rest of our councillors. I'm going to segue into expenses.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you.
So the general thrust of it is that you shouldn't be having to dig into your own pocket to be able to cover your expenses to be able to perform the functions of a councillor. So there's an expense and allowances policy that each council will have. Some of that is set by the remuneration authority. Some of it is set by council itself. We go through and have a look at the different expenses. So, but for we'll cover your mileage. We'll cover accommodation when you're away on council business, meals when you're away on council business. We'll provide you the IT that you need, the computers and phones, and we'll pay the bills for your council phone for council business. So the general gist of it is that we cover all of the reasonable expenses that you might incur to be able to perform your function as a councillor.
Nice. What about the meetings, Joe? Do councillors have to attend all council meetings? What happens if you can't make it?
Generally speaking, yes, the expectation is to attend all of our council meetings. And we try and make it as easy as possible by keeping all of our meetings onto set days so that you can plan around it. Also, we have, generally speaking, I don't know if you guys do, Jay, so I think you must do, we have pretty much a year calendar worth of meetings so that you can see out for the
3 years.
You do it for 3 years. No, we only do it 1 year at a time.
Well, it's a competition.
There's one-upmanship here. So we do it for 1 year, so you can see, like if you're on a committee, you know what committees you're on, you can see the full year worth of schedule of those meetings so that you can do your best to plan around it. Having said all that, you guys have got lives outside of council. Things come up. You might get sick. You might have family commitments. You might have some other work commitments. So it is just a matter of letting the chair of council, in our case, if it's a council meeting, or the chair of the committee, if you're not the chair of that committee, know that you're not going to be able to be there and put in your apologies. But the expectation is you're there unless you've got a good reason as to why you're not.
Fantastic. One of the questions that always gets asked actually is how decisions made. And, from a KDC perspective, we're talking about the last Wednesday in the month for the formal council meeting that you make decisions at, right? So you may have had quite a few briefings leading up to that. You may have just had one briefing, whatever. It's the decision-making side of it. And this is really what's quite foreign to people, as a matter of fact. We run our council meetings formally to standing orders, right? It's a document, it's like 50-something pages long. It's got your meeting rules. Don't worry, you will get trained on it and inducted on how to use it. Piece of advice, if you actually want to get stuff done, you need to understand your standing orders. You need, because when things get tricky and controversial, standing orders are there to help you get to a decision, right? They start at a broader space, and then you get certain times of speaking, all that sort of stuff. It's all geared around narrowing the council down to get to a point when they can actually make a decision, all right? And decisions, most of them, are just a simple majority of the council, right? Some of the more governance-y type decision, like adopting a new set of standing orders, for example, requires a different threshold, a 75% majority to do it. But it is quite formal, and this a lot of people struggle with this when they first get elected if they haven't been in the council before. So I would recommend, there's plenty of footage online of Kaipara District Council meetings. We're all over the place. Likewise with the NRC. Have a look. Have a look at how these decisions are made. The staff are there to guide. We've got our governance people to guide on the process and the rules. It can get frustrating if you don't understand the rules, though, because you want to say something and then you want to say something else and you can't. So you have to be quite smart about how you use your speaking time and how you use the standing orders to get to the decision, right? But it is quite a foreign concept. A lot of people think, oh yeah, we'll sit around a table, we'll talk together and we'll amicably come to a decision. It doesn't always work like that, especially with the tough decisions.
I could just add, Jace,
Sure.
two things. One, the complexity of the decision generally provides a guide as to the lead-up process to that decision, so that the simpler the decision, it might just be a straight agenda paper that goes on the agenda at the end of each month. If it's adoption of an annual plan or new navigation and safety bylaws, there's usually a lot of lead-up to that decision, so there's plenty of time to ask questions, make sure that we answer all the questions. Generally speaking, we will, for bigger decisions, we'll make sure that we've provided an opportunity for you to give us as staff a flag of what kind of information you need to make sure that you're in an informed position to make that decision. It also raises any red flags that you might have with what the decision is, so that we can make sure that we walk our way through that and you're in a position to be well informed and able to make a decision at the council meeting. The last one I would make is, and I think Jace might have said it before, you need to get the majority vote. And that's something for you to be able to be effective in the 3 years, is you need to be able to work with your fellow councillors on any of those decisions to get the majority vote, because without the majority vote, the decision doesn't go your way.
Fantastic. We're on that last question, team. And then we'll take some questions from you guys. I know there's a young man sitting in the seat over there who's got some. So is there anything that I should know about how this role could have impacted my family or spouse? So indicator of what we've said already today, you will be known. You know, as soon as you're elected, you're there, you're in the media, people want to know what you vote for, why you voted this way, all of that sort of stuff. Make no mistake, right? You go to the supermarket, people will be talking to you. And that is the nature of public life. It can be a shock, but it can also be quite nice. But it depends on what people want to talk to you about and if they agree with you. And sometimes it's not that nice. And social media is one of those things that is excellent for getting messages across, but it flips the other way as well, right? So you do have to be careful. You do need to have a conversation with your whānau and your family, because if you're elected, they're affected. Hey, that's not bad, man. If you're elected, they're affected. We should do that. So, you know, you do need to go in it with eyes wide open, right? Because as soon as your nomination's in, there's no coming back from that. And you could easily be elected if that's the case. So have that conversation with your family. Make sure they're aware of it. Make sure they understand the pressures that will come on you and, of course, them. I think that kind of wraps this up. The one last point I'd like to make is we have a thing called, every council does it prior to the election. It's called a pre-election report. All right. Now, this was a thing that was introduced. Obviously, the wood bring yours. Yeah, overachiever here. Ahead of time. So a few terms ago, the government changed the legislation to say councils bring out a pre-election report here. The whole point of a pre-election report, hence the name, is to give you the version of the truth. So the financials, the key issues, what's happening in that council, that district, that region that you can refer to as a candidate. Because, you know, in a world today, we're talking about misinformation, we're talking about false facts, all of that sort of thing. That is what you need to refer to for your information that you need to get. Right, I think we're ready to take some questions from you guys because we've done a lot of talking. Do we need a microphone, or does anybody else want to put their hand up and go first? Yeah, absolutely. Do you want the microphone, young man? Or I think we might need to so that the audience can hear you on the line. Yeah, I know. You can do it.
Hi there, my name. Thing they're running for district council. We got from John, I think, the time requirements for the regional council. What sort of time are you looking at for your average councillor for district council?
Okay, Neil, thanks. Well done on putting your hand up, thinking about putting your hand up for the district council.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, good work. So I think I mentioned that the first, at the moment, the framework is the first Wednesday of the month for the whole day and the last Wednesday of the month for the whole day, generally shorter than the whole day, but that's generally how we run. There are other committee meetings that will take up time, but you can attend those online as well, because remembering in Kaipara, we have our meetings currently go between the West Coast and the East Coast. So we have month about. So say the February month of meetings will be held in Mangawhai, and then the March meetings will be held in Dargaville or Ruai, or where we can find a venue. Do you have another one, Neil?
Yeah, that one was really clear. What are you looking at now per week, 20 hours a week?
Okay, so from a formal perspective, let's just go with 40 hours a month, sorry. You can do as little or as much as you want, right? Because much of your time will be out there talking to constituents, understanding what the community is saying, going to community groups and community meetings. That's up to you.
So, I want to put a proposal through to get some more money for something, but I can't put down my words that I'm thinking. So do I have a secret, someone who can formulate it so it's acceptable to whoever I'm trying to get the money off?
Right. So in case you can't hear it online, the question, the question is you want to get some money for something and make a decision on a piece of work that you want to get done, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a process around that, actually, especially if there's a budgetary impact, right? So this is going to sound like a really long, boring answer, Neil, and I apologise for it, but there's quite a framework around work programs and budgets for a council. It's called an annual plan to start with. I'll just talk about an annual plan. And that is where we take the council through a process where they look at our work programs, look at our projects that we need to do, sometimes consult with the community on them, and then approve a work program, a budget for the next financial year. So through that process, getting your ideas in about what you want to achieve is the time to do it. It may not just be at the time that you want to do it.
Okay. Thank you, John. Proof of citizenship, is that passport, out-of-date passport, birth certificate?
Great question, Neil. The question was, for those online, proof of citizenship for the nomination. I think, Dale, you're on.
Yeah, most people have just a photocopy of your passport is fine, or birth certificate.
Out-of-date.
Yeah, that's fine because it's showing that you are a New Zealand citizen. Yep.
Neil, I'm going to have to go to other questions at the moment. So do we have any online? We do have some online. Fantastic.
So the first online question is, do you have to be well known to stand as a councillor?
Question is, do you have to be well known to stand as a councillor? Wow, that's a loaded question. Do we have a buzzer? No. No, you do not. No, you do not. Anybody can stand. This is a democratic country. It's a democratic principle. Anybody can stand in their own right. You don't have to be well known. What it boils down to, though, if you aren't well known, it boils down to how you campaign and what you want to do to make yourself well known to get elected and what you stand for. And that is part of the gig, and that's all on you. Anything to add, Jono?
No, that was great.
Any more questions online? Okay. Yes, sir, at the back.
I'm Robert Goodhue. I'm looking at standing for regional council.
Ed.
Thank you. Coastal Southern, I think it's called.
Yes.
Just wondering Do councillors get the use of a PA to assist with paperwork requirements and that sort of thing?
Kia ora. We do have governance support. So each councillor doesn't get their own PA. That we don't provide that level of support. But yes, we've got a governance support team. So we've got someone there to help with all of your agenda materials. If, for example, there's a community group meeting that you're attending, no problem. Any other quick questions for the regional council?
Yeah, I've got one about campaigning. I've tried to look online to find out places to put signage. I think everybody would probably be interested in that. Is there a set list of locations that we can actually find online?
We'll go to the regional council first, given that you're standing for the regional council.
No, there's not a set locations, but there are rules around being able to put up signage. And Dale, I suspect you're going to be able to answer this more thoroughly than I can. So I might just pass this back to you.
It's not the regional council, it'll be the territorial authorities who will have the sites, specified sites, and they will be available on their website of where you can or not put your election signs. There's generally a time period, as for Kaipara, it's for 3 months from the 11th of July, and those sites will be on, the agreed sites will be on the council's website.
And Dale, when do you need to take your signs down?
Each territorial authority has slightly different rules, but generally it's midnight the night before, so midnight on the 10th of October, all signs must be removed.
From a KDC perspective, just so you know, so we have a specific list of sites or signs to be placed on there, and there are specific rules around that. There is a permit that they need to apply for too. It's fairly simple. I'm not sure when the sites will be online. Next week?
Yes.
Fantastic. So our sites will be, we're just reviewing them at the moment. Our sites will be available online from next week, and you'll be able to see exactly, there'll be photos of where the sites are, drawn where the areas are, and we do have a team that do, believe it or not, election signs gets quite a hairy topic, and there often are complaints about signs. So we have a team that go around and monitor and pull them down if we need to, and all of that sort of stuff. So I would pay attention to those sites, and I'd pay attention to the rules around the signs, because believe it or not, if you don't comply, we will get a complaint and we will have to address that complaint.
But I understand we can put them on private land.
Yes, you can put your signs on private land with whatever agreement you have.
KDC land.
That is correct.
And so the sites that Jason will identify for the Kaipara district, the same will apply for NRS, for regional council signs. They need to go in the same location.
But you can still do private.
You can, correct.
So long as it fits in with the...
Time food, yes.
So but from a KDC perspective, there is a permit to apply for. It's pretty simple. You just fill it in, we'll get approval first, and then you can go from there as well once on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if there's a permit required for NRC ones as well.
Yeah.
On Kaipara land.
Yes, but the permit's from the Kaipara.
It's for the
No,
district
it's from the
council.
district council. So
Yeah.
whereabouts were you looking at standing, sorry, sir?
Coastal South.
Coastal South. So you'll span both Kaipara and Whangarei districts. So you'll need to look on both websites, and I don't know whether WDC requires a permit. I'm not sure if you know.
I think they do for a
They
council.
do. So
Yeah.
you'll just have to look to see whereabouts that border line is and apply for your permit from each of the districts. Nothing from us though.
If I taku, one from the fine here, just my voice is down.
Can you answer that if you're...
Just on the fine, we being a contracted councillor around eligibility, people can't be contracted by council and still stand. Is that specific to an individual or organisation? Let's say council contracts and bylaws, and I need to sign on behalf of our organisation, or is that considered a breach?
I want to take it at the start. I'll do the environments.
Be your buzzer, Dale. Dale.
So there is a requirement that you can't have a contract greater than $25,000 per year with the council, and if you do have that, then there's a process to go through with the Auditor General. But I think your question is, can it be a company that has that contract rather than an individual?
And you're contracted to that company?
Yeah, I guess that's a hard one. I guess it's whether that person owns the company or is just an employee.
Just an employee?
Yeah. I'd say that that's probably okay. Yeah.
So is it the company is doing work for
Yes.
a council?
So working for a
But an
council.
employee wants to
I
stand.
see.
I think that's fine.
I would have thought that's
Yeah,
probably
that's fine.
It's fine.
Which one?
Yeah.
The thing that you can't do is if you're an employee of a council, even by contract or by a casual staff, you can't be an employee and then still be a councillor. But if Environs has got a contract with a council and you're an employee of Environs, I would
That's
have thought
fine.
that's the next
That's
one.
fine. Yep.
So the added element to that, if you're elected, would be the fact that there's conflicts of interest, right? So there's interests and conflicts of interests and pecuniary interests around financial, and there's thresholds around all of that. And we will give you advice from a staffing perspective about your conflicts. You have to declare them publicly, and it may be a situation where you stand down from voting on a particular topic, for example. So there are ways within the decision-making framework to avoid any issues in that space. Kia ora.
So I've got another part here online. Someone's thinking of enrolling. Where do they get nominations? What's the process to collect nomination forms if they want to stand in these elections?
Dale.
Okay, so that was covered in my presentation. So we do have nominations online now. It's innovative, so it's new. So I've got the URL. Do you want me to read it out, or it's referenced in our candidate handbook, which is available online. So everything can now be done online, or you can still do the old-fashioned way. You still can have a paper copy. No problem there. They will be online on the council's website on a PDF, editable PDF. So there's a third way of doing that. But whatever way, they must be returned and received by me or by the electoral office by the close of nominations midday on the 1st of August. So you can drop it in at a council office. You can go online and submit it electronically. They're basically the two ways.
Good.
Yes, my name's Steve Allen. I'm from Megawai. I've been in the area since the late 80s, so I've been around for a while, covered a lot of district, really covering a lot of country, right from Auckland right through the Kaipara. But I'm wondering, but in the event that one does get elected, I imagine there's going to be a fairly steep learning curve getting up to speed with everything that's going on prior. And I'm just wondering, do we have access to any particular people within the office that we can ask questions to directly just to get answers on the day?
So is that ahead of the election, Steve?
Once elected.
Okay, so the question is, once you're elected, how do you get the information you need? You may need. Okay, so I'm going to answer that question in a two-pronged way, right? I talked about previously the induction program. I think it'd be wise to wait for the induction program, and you'll know those dates well in advance of what you're doing and what the day is going to be used for. We're not just talking one day, we're talking days and days and days of induction programs to give you the information you need to do your role. So each council really works hard to build that induction program so that it's effective for you to get you up to speed as quickly as we possibly can, right? So I would suggest that your best bet is to, I know you'd be keen and guns blazing, all that sort of stuff, but to wait and interact with the induction program because it's geared around getting you up to speed in a quick way, but also in a prioritised way, so that if there are decisions coming up that you need to make, you're informed for those decisions in a priority kind of fashion, right? There is a process for our elected members to find information. We do have some staff that part of their role is to help get information for the elected members. But my primary advice is stick to the induction program, engage in that, and get the information you need from that way. Good question, though. Are there any other questions? Oh, he's coming back. Neil?
Yes, well, so I can leave the council, so on the off chance. Come May sometime, I want to go to the Island TT. What sort of leave do we get per year? Or say, for 3 weeks, where you just, for 3 years, you don't want to be sort of tried the council 3 years, you need a break.
Question is, thank you, Neil. Really good question. Question is, during the term, what sort of leave entitlements do you have or anything along those lines? Because, you know, it's an all-encompassing role, right? And people need breaks, 100%. I tautoko that, you do need breaks. You're classed as a contractor, shall we say. You're not classed as staff at all, so you do get no leave entitlements or anything along those sort of lines. But you have no boss, apart from the mayor. Your only commitments are to the council meeting days and meeting times, and some of them you can do online. So it's actually no issues at all for you to go to the Isle of Man TT if you want to for 3 weeks. No problems whatsoever. You can do your meetings online if you want to, or you can put a leave of absence in and just be away for that period of time. Okay? So there's nothing really. It's not like a job, right? It's a lifestyle, you would say. It's not like you have to put a leave application in or anything like that.
Which leads me to another question. Do we qualify for superannuation payments?
Oh, that's a good question.
You say that.
Question is, do we qualify for superannuation?
Contract, so
You're honest, I can't answer that question, I don't think, unless the team know, the panel know.
Oh, you don't know.
We'll have to get back to you.
Question.
You do, yeah, thanks, Ash. You do have a certain tax rate as employed, self-employed, because they're classed as self-employed for a tax purpose, right? So I think that's a good indicator.
So you are just clarifying further. So you will be in the top tax bracket, but end of the year you get all the refund.
unless you're,
I think that's still the case, isn't it?
unless you're on superannuation or something like
The
that.
superannuation you get separate. There's nothing to do with it.
So that, yeah, super,
You get best of the both worlds.
I'm not a tax lawyer. I'm not going to give tax lawyer advice. Any more questions, team? I know we're all sitting here. This is your opportunity. If not, we can close it out. Thank you, ma'am.
People probably know this, but I'm not sure. Can people stand for a second term?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there could be experience in.
Yeah. So the question, just for those online, if they didn't hear that, can you stand for a second term? Yes, there are no limits, actually. It's not like the US where Trump has done two and done. It doesn't work like that here in New Zealand. You can stand as many terms as you want, in fact. So there are no limits.
Councillor Larson's done a number of stints, hasn't he?
Something like that. Yeah. Any other questions, team?
Just clarification, Dale mentioned about how the names will be listed, and you mentioned they will be listed by surnames for NRC, and I guess the same for KDC.
So they're listed your surname first and then your first name and then your affiliation if you have one. But the order that they're listed are going to be different. So for the Northland Regional Council, they will be listed in alphabetical because that council has resolved for that. For this council, the Kaipara, it'll be random. So the computer orders the order of names. So every voter will get a different order.
But it will still be surname.
Surname first.
First past the post for both.
Yes.
This time?
Yes.
For the last 23 odd years, it's been STV for the Kaipara and then FPP for NRC. And for the first time in a while, we've got alignment there. That's one of the decisions the council gets to make. All right.
We'll be sticking around for a while, so if anyone's got any other questions that they want to ask them.
Good past the post. So yeah. So that's the simplest voting style, shall we say, when you just tick the one.
Person with the most votes wins, basically. Yeah.
Because that is a change for the cockpit. STV. So that's like MMP.
Preferential voting.
You go 1, 2, 3, and you.
Oh, right.
Cool. Okay. All right, I'll just say a couple of things to wrap us up. But like John has said, the panel's here to answer any more questions that you may want to ask after we close tonight. Can I just say, look, I'm heartened, to be honest, but to see so many people turn up tonight. I think it's fantastic that you are thinking or thinking on behalf of somebody else even to stand for public office. I said it at the start, I'll say it again. I take my hat off to you for even contemplating it. It's a tough job. It's a rewarding job as well, though. So thank you for attending tonight, and thank you for showing your interest in both the Northland Regional Council and the Kaipara District Council. I really do appreciate it, and so do we. Just want to say thanks, obviously, to our panel also. Jono's got stuck in traffic, believe it, in Whangarei to get here. Hard to believe. But so I want to say thanks for tuning up. And for those online, I can see you there. Thank you very much for being online today as well. Just a reminder that this is going to be a recorded session. It will be uploaded to YouTube for those that want to re-look at it if you wish, if you weren't quite sure about any of the answers that you heard today. Also just want to say we've been supported by a really hearty crew of staff behind you. There's some food there for you that they've put on for you. There's some more information at the back. If you want to engage with them as well and find some more information out, you're more than welcome. But for me, I just want to say a big thank you to you from us up here to our crew at the back for supporting this event also. Our team. I opened with karakia, so I'll close with karakia, and we'll close that portal. It's been a great conversation, and I really thank you for your engagement. Kia tau ngā manaakitanga ati me ngaro, ke runga ki tina o tātou, kia mahia te hua ma kihi kihi, kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te raya Māori, ti hei Māori ora. Now what that means, just so you know, let the strength and life force of our ancestors be with each and every one of us. Free our path from obstruction so that our words, spiritual power, love and language are upheld, permanently fixed, established and understood. Forward together. Kia ora.